This is a story out of London, England, that a friend of mine put me onto, and I checked here in the United States at the Guardian newspaper, theguardian.com, I think it is. And it's one of the saddest stories, and I really don't even know how to feel about it. So basically, police show up at this woman's house, at the mother's house. Her name is Fiona, and the father, his name is Mark, to arrest Mark for their now adult daughter's abuse. The daughter is Emily, father is Mark, mother Fiona. And the police arrived to arrest Mark for abusing Emily, the daughter. The problem is no abuse occurred. Well, what happened? Mistaken identity, a swatting claim, or something like that? Nope, but similar. So Mark apparently had been on a chat room for some time talking about sexually abusing his daughter when she was a baby and a young teen, a young girl. The problem is none of that was true. It was simply fantasy that he was sharing online, and other people were encouraging him, and he was sharing this story of pretty awful abuse, but it didn't happen. Of course, the police didn't know that. And when somebody online tipped them off, they went to the house to find out. And over again, the daughter says, well, no, I mean, they go to her house too, because she lives apart from the folks now. She said he was a good dad. We were very close. Uh, he didn't, but the police didn't know that they were trying to protect me. She goes on in this story is extremely long. It goes on and on and on and on to, it goes on to say that it got her questioning everything she knew about her father, everything she believed about her father. It destroyed the marriage of Fiona and Mark. Mark moved to another country apparently and married somebody who had children, the article mentions. Fiona now barely has a relationship with her father. She doesn't know what to think. Was he hoping for an opportunity? Well, he had plenty of opportunities to do these things. He was simply doing some awful fantasies, perhaps, but fantasies online. And when the police got involved, it all went south. It destroyed a marriage. It destroyed several relationships. And what she said here is also important. That is, what Emily said is that the police kept pushing her and suggesting that she had latent memories, Emily did, and maybe her father had touched her. Okay. The um Mark apparently didn't try to hide a lot of what he was doing online. Um she said a female police detective wanted to know if if he had touched her. She said no, he hadn't touched her. Um, but then she started thinking, she wanted her father to be prosecuted for sharing these fake fantasies online. And she wanted to be recognized as a victim, which the police didn't understand. And they said, after trying to charge Mark, who found a loophole apparently and pled not guilty because it was simply fantasy and nothing had actually occurred, they said there was no victim. But she felt that she was a victim. She felt that the persons witnessing the text he was writing about abuse that didn't occur were victims. And she was wondering what to do about that. And to this day, she feels in some ways she was a victim. Um, she said he was very happy that he escaped prosecution. Okay. He made it clear that he considered the police and everyone else to give a prudish response, and it was a private fetish, and it wasn't anything that should involve the law. But Fiona and Emily are not so sure. So I'm going to post this in here. You can look at it. And again, I don't know what to think. I don't think in some ways fantasy should be criminalized. At the same time, if the police had not been involved, nobody would have known. Do we assume, as many people watching this, particularly trolls, assume that, oh, well, it would obviously was going to blow up into something terrible. Well, it went on apparently for a good long time, like some years. So I don't know when it was going to blow up. Maybe it was just fantasy. I don't know. There's some indication in some psychological literature that does advance sometimes, and other times it stays confined in that fantasy realm. But regardless of what you think about it, it is a tragedy for the family when the police got involved with this particular situation. And I think it may create more trouble along the way for all concerned. And that, I think, is a real tragedy.